Right. So, yeah, hello everybody, and welcome to today's seminar. My name is Bridget Menye, and I'm a research associate on the MECS program. I'm sure everybody knows that because I don't think there are any new persons on the call, but yeah, I will be moderating today's session with my colleague John Leary. So, just to say that our sessions are recorded. So, if you have any concerns, please mute yourself and participate in the discussion using the chat box if you so wish. So, as many of you may know, the MECS Field Seminar is a fortnightly event that seeks to build a community for MECS field researchers and ultimately share experiences with designing and implementing different methodologies across the program. On this point, it might be useful to add now that please do get in touch with John or I if you have any findings or lessons to share with us regarding any projects you're implementing at the moment. So, yes, without much ado, I'd like to introduce Anne Wacera, who is the presenter for today's session, and Anne is the project and technical manager for the Strathmore Energy Research Center. So, Anne, please proceed if you're ready.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So I've been informed that this are normally very interactive sessions, so do feel free to stop me at any time. This is kind of, since I haven't finished the work I'm doing for MECS, so it's a mashup of all the work I'm doing and maybe just a discussion on how that work is fitting into each other. So maybe I'm going to spend just to be very clear that I can. Oh yeah, okay. So presentation summarizes emerging trends from my work. So most of my work focuses on electrotechnical quality and standards. Electrotechnical is just electrical and technical systems that are electrical. You know, I look mostly at consumer-facing electrical systems, but looking at them from the technical components, as in from the engineering component of it. My partner in crime, Elise here, is the one who looks at things from the, I think, I'd say the consumer perspective. So we both work on the same things, but I'll tend to look at things more from an engineering perspective, and she does household, the communal and people perspective. So what am I trying to achieve with the work I'm doing? So I think I'm trying to answer some questions. For example, given my experience in the standards development and conformity assessment. Conformity assessment is a fancy word for testing and a bunch of other things that lead up to products being in the market after we made sure that they have conformed to a given standard. How do the systems interact with households, if at all? So do households use quality marks? What is a good quality mark and why? How do households perceive quality? How do they make purchases? What informs their preferences? Who does repairs and maintenance for households? So there's a bunch of questions. So this is some of them, but there is quite a number of questions that I'm trying to answer using my work. So far, with respect to quality, I have 3 projects running. Actually, I think 4, but the 4th one is just starting. So this specific presentation will focus a lot on the one which is nearing completion. So that means that we're doing the final report. So the study is with Dr. Liz Harrington. She is a social scientist, the person who looks at things from the people perspective. Then there is a separate study on the impact of information and counterfeit markets in Kenya. There's a bit of, I mentioned somewhere there, and I'm probably going just to run through it and explain what's happening there, because we do not have fully done, we've just done a lot of statistical analysis, and most of it is in table formats. I thought maybe it's just better to summarize things as I go. And then the final one is I'll talk a bit about the next work that I'm doing, which is, at the very end. So this slide is just about when this started. It's still ongoing to date, because I think we have had to do things back and forth for especially stakeholder interviews. But we collected data from 800 households, and qualitative data was from around 4 interviews with, you know, technicians. So technician groups. So it was more like 5 technicians per group. And then there was focus group discussions. So we did more. It's just that we selected the ones we thought are good quality and the ones we thought, would actually, they were extensive, were the 10. So most of our data is based on all of them, but I have a preference for the 4 specific interviews with the technicians. Because we did interview, for example, people like the ones we're standing with right there. So that was a shop. We did spend around an hour there, and we do have recordings of that. So what are you trying to look at for this specific study? So we're looking at the plug and play ecosystem, trying to first of all map it. What does it look like? And where can you buy stuff, right? If you're buying a solar lantern or if you're buying a solar PV system, where can you buy one? And this is the map we came up with, which is there's solar companies that most of us are familiar with. They sell to using solar agents to users. There's street vendors. They will sell directly to users. There's market day vendors. There's electrical shops. There's repair technicians. So all these people, sell, products to users. So the reason why this is extremely important is because this same model probably is what appliances will follow. So for appliances, this will be, a distributor, and then this will be the agent of that distributor. And then there'll be, for less expensive appliances, and even for expensive appliances, you might find that if the product becomes popular enough, you get street vendors actually walking around with them and actually selling them to people. And then you have market day vendors. This is definitely something that is to be anticipated, especially for MECS, that there's going to be sales using market day vendors, electrical shops, so electrical shops, this is also where, especially market day vendors and electrical shops do not always purchase, products from the companies. They sell both products from the company and, products that are not, products that maybe there's someone who has gone to China and asked the manufacturer to produce something. And these are the people who are probably going to be selling the non-quality verified products. And these are the people who are closest to the consumers, sorry. Then there's repair technicians. So repair technicians normally have a shop nearby, and sometimes even at their own shop. So what you're seeing right now, so just to give an example, if we go to the previous photo, this is an electrical shop. So these guys have a bunch of stock on different electrical products. And then this is a street vendor. So there is 2 types of street vendors. I see put here both of them under hookahs, but then there's street vendors who have a stationary place, and then there's street vendors who walk around with their wares. So as you can see, this guy is selling pretty much a lot of things. There's a solar lamp, there's different things that this guy is selling. And if the thing is fast moving, you will definitely find him with it selling. Okay, so then there is component-based systems. So component-based systems tend to be the ones where you put together. So this is a kit at the research center. So this is a government regulated space. So I'm not saying the other one is not. The other one is regulated by virtue of standards. This one is regulated by virtue of qualifications, because this is a system that you will hire a technician to actually put together. And so this ecosystem looks like this, and there is users in the middle, of course. There's people who they do it yourselfers. This is a very big problem for solar PV systems, because the people who do it, who have the do-it-yourself systems, will have issues. For example, like they will leave out the charge controller, so the charge controller is the same. And then this is solar panels, this is the charge controller, this is an inverter. So there's a couple of breakers here, and then there's a battery behind here somewhere. So this breaker is actually going into the battery. So you see, for someone who's doing an installation without experience or without information on what exactly needs to be done, they're going to see a charge controller as an unnecessary expense. I do have another presentation that explains those specific problems, and I'm happy to actually just forward that to, So electrical shops also have the same problem, because these people, they're trying to sell solar panels. So if a consumer comes, if a user comes and says, I have money for only the solar panels, most of them, when we ask them, we're like, I'd sell it, I'd definitely sell this to them because I need to make a sale. Then there is the electricians. So these are the unlicensed electrical electricians. So there's a difference between being an electrician who can do wiring and being an electrician who understands PV generation, because a PV system is a generator, which means that your knowledge in wiring will not always transfer into knowledge about the size of the system that you should implement. And that's a big problem in the sector, because the number of licensed technicians, I think there is around 400 in the country. I have a graphic on that. 500, I think there's around 60 who are women, but most of them are also, centralized in Nairobi. So a lot of people go to their electricians for information on how to install, or even just to get them to do an installation. And I've seen all kinds of things whenever I travel home with this. So batteries that are, batteries that are car batteries being used for solar systems. I think I do have some photos somewhere. I'll pull them up because I think I can find them. In the meantime, I'll just continue. So so far, because we have done quite a bit of data analysis for this one, and this is why sorry, I'm trying to find, I'll try and find it in a second. So we have done quite a bit of data analysis for this. So how do households perceive quality? Let's talk about at the time when they're going to purchase. So there's things like physical quality, and this was interesting because this words, what we've named them right now, they're not final, but we're still thinking through what we can name them. But generally, what this means is that there's things that people do, they just look at, like, the color, that was the most interesting one. I do not want a red thing in my house and stuff like that. Then there is, weight, visible inspection. So someone will say, yeah, this looks like it'll break apart in a few, so there's literally physical quality, but it's not covered entirely by the standards, in that we check for mechanical durability and a few other things. That's no one, I don't think there's a lot of people who, there's no comprehensive cover on physical quality itself. So then there is technical quality. So this one is divided into two. So there's technical information disclosure, such as labeling indicators. So this tells, this is what you stick on something to say, this thing was tested properly. Then there's a technical use indicator, which relies on technical quality indicators. So this is, so you do the testing, and then you append the quality mark if the product has passed. So the thing that we found with physical quality was unexpected. Because that's still something that we're trying to pull apart, because I didn't actually go into the field thinking that people have. Yes, I did think that people would have preferences for her color and weight. The most interesting one for weight was where they'd say a battery that's heavier is better quality. And I'd be there like, yeah, no, we should, oh my goodness, yeah. And then there is technical quality is something that is already covered, right? But as per the paper we wrote, technical quality, so the paper that we wrote, the paper that we have, the Elsevier paper, is covering this specific one and issues regarding technical quality itself. I think there's that Bridget did send it in the link. If anyone has any questions from that later, you can definitely ask me. So we do cover a lot about what is faulty with this technical quality ecosystem. Then there's experiential quality. So this is, so you'd ask the households, how do you determine quality? And they'd say, I can only determine quality if I've used it, and there was a strong, there's a strong tendency to say, I have to use it, or someone I know has to use it for it to actually be good quality. And so this is strange, because that's what the quality marker is supposed to do. The quality marker is supposed to tell people that, okay, this has been tested and this is working. But because of the lack of trust, I'd say, in, lack of trust or whatever reasons, the communities that we spoke to only had confidence in things that they had tested themselves. So there's a lot to be improved in terms of what the technical quality is aiming to achieve versus what is actually happening. And this is where I think the breakdown is. And right now we're writing the recommendations from this. And I think one of our recommendations is to train TVETs to actually become, communal testers, so to say, because this is something that can be done at a community level to try and have county governments use local TVETs to buy products off the shelf and just use them, because that would give communities more confidence than anything else. So then there's reputational quality, which is different from experiential quality in that, perceptions are based on, interactions or word of mouth. I think this happens in a lot of places. So I buy a lot of things just because someone recommended it, and then if I have a bad experience, then I move to the experiential quality, and I know, okay, next time I talk to someone, I'll tell them that, okay, someone recommended it, but do not use that product. I think because of the, especially in the, what's it called, in the beauty industry, so facial products especially, you find this as a major problem. So there's been a lot of products which have come into the market, and a friend tells you, just, yeah, you can buy that one, it's good. And then a few months later, some beauticians come in, and they tell you, no, that's actually bad for your skin. And you can see that it has these levels to how this actually is experienced. Yeah. So the second part of how do households perceive quality, so there is beyond purchase. So this is while someone is purchasing, there's all these different things that they will be looking at. So they will look at the physical quality. This is rarely actually looked at. And like I said, that's the breakdown, that this is put there for consumers, but consumers seem to actually look at this. And this rarely appears in what maybe government systems, are trying to put together. And there's a breakdown in, in that. So beyond purchase, there's things. So this goes under mostly experiential quality, which is that their experience with after sales people, will somehow normally impact if they continue with the product or if they recommend the product to someone else. So they did mention, so the after sales experience with solar often builds lasting perceptions of both product and service quality. So what this means is that under experiential quality, you get, let me say, if you start from 0 points and I buy it and the product works, there's maybe, let me say, you get 3 points. And then if you buy, if you have proper warranty systems in place, you get another point, so something like that. And with each point increment, that means that you're getting more people recommended to buy your product. And that kind of cascades into, I guess, more sales. So repair and maintenance for out of warranty systems, most people use electrical technicians. And less. There's conversations about whether people would, yeah. So respondents seem more trusting of local electricians to handle their solar system issues, but such repairs do add additional costs. So how much the repairs cost was variable and difficult to assess, and the quality of repairs was also variable. So again, like with the experiential quality system, we think that this is a problem that can be resolved by training TVETs around the country. And we did visit a number of TVETs when we were there, together with the local MCAs. And with, like, given the kind of, like, electricity connections have increased quite a lot recently, which means it's to be expected that there'll be a lot of electrical appliances that will be bought in these communities. And it only makes sense to have the capacity to discern quality and to repair and to maintain in their specific communities. And I think, I'll show later that we are under MECS doing a couple of interviews with TVETs to actually see what they're doing right now and what trajectory they would see this going in case they are to develop a repair and maintenance curriculum for electrical products. And then there's end of life, disposal or reuse. We got very little out of this. So there is I'd say there was only one thing, which was people throw things in pit latrines. They give the products to their kids to play with. They keep them in the store. So there's very little, I'd say, collection of products at end of life. And as you can imagine, given the quality problem in the, in the communities, it's a huge problem, right? It's a huge problem because there's a lot of disposal happening. There's a lot of burning. People actually burn the plastics that die off. So you can imagine the thing on your, this one, because this is not, this is just one of those off the shelf Chinese products, which is there's someone who went and asked a manufacturer to produce something for them, and they produced it. And if this thing dies, someone will just throw it in the yard or something, in the pit latrine, because it's small enough to actually fit in the pit latrine. And there's a lithium-ion battery in there. And then there is the LED has whatever chemicals they come with. And we calculated with someone what this looks, given a chat we were having with some of the communities as we were walking around and for another project. And we estimated that Kenya might be disposing around, per county, 100 to 500,000 bulbs in the form of this and other bulbs per year per county. And because very few people actually buy the distributor level goods, they will be more inclined towards buying the knockoffs. And you would think that that's because knockoffs, or this is an original product. I've not seen a product that actually looks like this. So just products that are not in the, I'd say, in the main ecosystem, so to say. So there is a blog post that I did to try and identify those different ecosystems. So there was what I called A and B, and those two sections operate very independently from each other. Yeah, so end of life disposal or reuse, non-existent, people throw things away. And then, so yeah. So the next one is, so I've moved on from the study with Elise, which is what is being completed. And I think the report should be out quite soon. I will definitely send the link to Bridget. We will just post it on our website once the report is done. So background information about the impact of information on counterfeit markets. So it was a randomized controlled trial to study the lemons problem, which is normally, we were looking at the issues that arise, regarding the value of a product when there's asymmetric information between the buyer and the seller. So what does this look like for electrical products? So for electrical products, this means that, let me go back to this guy. So I don't have that photo here, but this guy is selling, actually, yeah, here. It's actually here. So these two products are labeled the same company. So one is a counterfeit of the other one. If you're unaware of the company, you're probably going to think that, they're the same. So you'd think that because one is a knockoff and the other one is the original thing, the prices would be different. But that is not the case. Because in the market, consumers, and we actually bought this at, this is the counterfeit. Sorry. So this is the counterfeit, this is the original. We bought the counterfeits at, I think, so this is 800 shillings, or 700 actually. This was 700 shillings. And then this guy started us at a price of 800 shillings. And he had refused to literally sell us at any other price. And we bought it, we ended up buying it at 500. But the reason is because we told him, we know that this is not the original thing. And that's the problem with information asymmetry, that when buyers do not know the value, the good quality products, or the non-counterfeit products from the counterfeit products, or even the good quality products from the bad quality products, if that such a separation exists, because that's very hard actually sometimes to prove, then you end up with this situation where a seller can price lesser quality products at the same level as the good quality product, because then it gives them higher margins. So selling this at probably 700 shillings gives you a higher margin than selling this at 700 shillings. So they're actually incentivized to price, given that this brand has built a very good reputation for their product, they're actually incentivized to ride on that and actually sell this product at 700 shillings. And that's to the detriment of the actual company. So that's normally the problem with counterfeiting, which can be different from quality. Why am I saying it can be different from quality? For example, this product, it's not counterfeiting anyone's product, but there's a likelihood that it is, a good, there's a likelihood that it is I'd say a good quality product, maybe if you do the testing. And I think the Lighting Africa team actually did a testing of the non-quality verified market, and they did find that a good number of them, non-lighting global verified market, that one. And they found that there's some of the products, a good number of the products are actually good quality. Yep, and yes, I've seen someone has asked about the KEBS mark. Yes, we checked the KEBS mark every time. And yes, even the counterfeit. I don't remember whether the counterfeit had, but no, both of them did not have a KEBS mark. Yeah, I do have photos of the packaging and the inside, so I'm happy to look at that. But we did check that. Yeah, so I don't know whether people print fake KEBS badges. That KEBS says they can, but it's a very, like, proving it is tough, right? It's very hard to say. The only thing that we can do is send the message, and that's the only form of finding out if the quality mark is actually valid. Let me move on to this study, because this study is the one that's looking at quality marks. So the study was like this. We were using seeds. I know someone will ask me why seeds. Seeds are fast-moving products, and unlike a bulb, you can actually test the output of the seeds, right? So for this, we were looking at the KEFIS quality mark, and the KEFIS quality mark is actually way more advanced than the KEBS quality mark. Yeah. So the KEFIS quality mark. So this is how the study. It was a randomized control trial, 3,000 households plus. I think no, less than 3,000 households, might be more, found in a 1 kilometer radius of a market center. So treatment one, we helped the consumers distinguish between quality verified and non-quality verified products. And then treatment two, we helped consumers take recourse after purchase. So for some people received no treatment, of course, then there's people who received T1, then there was T1 and T2. So T2 by itself did not make sense because you can't teach them recourse without teaching them the T1 treatment. So this is still being processed, but I wanted to point out some interesting things that have come out of this study. So number one, so first of all, when you're thinking of the structure of the market, this is what the market looks like, because this is more monopolized than the other markets. So in other words, the appliance market has a lot more people, which was also better because it's easier to find, it's easier to, like, the statistical noise is less if you're dealing with fewer vendors, and that's why seeds were very appropriate for us. So here's what we did. So when we did the let me try and see if I can pull up that. Yeah, so I think this is the one. So I don't know if you guys can see here. So what we did is we had this, and treatment one, we were telling the farmers, everyone, what to go through. So checklist, 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 checklist. And I want you to notice something that in this whole thing, printed lot number, packaging with no holes, company logo, weight, testing dates, and then there's all these different things. So when we're doing the introductions, of course, and you do expect that we did have enumerators, a ton of enumerators actually doing this. And the thing is, later on, so from the study, what we're finding out is that the expiration date is a better way to actually tell whether the seeds are good quality, more than the KEFI sticker. So here's why. Seeds degrade, right? And over time, as the longer the seeds stay on the shelf, the higher the likelihood of whether or not it has the KEFI's quality mark, the product will, not germinate, because germination rate is what the KEFI sticker mostly tells you about. So if you see a KEFI sticker, it means greater than 92%, germination rate. And the interesting thing about that was that it got us thinking, because of course in electrical products that would not be a problem. Expiration dates, I don't think would have, electrical products don't degrade in, the longer they stay on the shelf. Maybe they do, but not that significantly. But this got us thinking of the difference between what, you know, experts like me would put in a quality mark versus what actually would help communities identify a good quality product. And the reason why I'm saying findings so far is because this is, I think, week month 2 on actually looking through this data. And I think the common thread that we're getting from this is that a good quality mark. First of all, now if you mix the work that I've done with Elise and the work with Eric, number one, of course, it covers experiential quality. It covers, the physical quality is a bit covered in the current quality mark, but it covers experiential and it covers experiential and the reputational quality. And that would, in some way, so how would that come by? Like we said, we've been discussing TVETs and how to get TVETs involved in such a system. But at the same time, it's important to note if there's any environmental factors in the place where this product is going to that will impact the lifetime of the product. So for example, if you're telling people this product will stay for 5 years, right? There needs to be a clear disclaimer that if it's 5 years and you live in coast, salt will actually affect this and humidity will actually affect this in this way. And this is something I've experienced while looking at solar panels in Kisumu. They do degrade quite fast. And yeah, so in terms of quality marks, the KEFIS quality mark, the reason why it's quite good is because, number one, you scratch it. So this is what it looks like. So the KEFIS quality mark looks like something like this. So you scratch it, and if you send, it's 2 people, so there's valid. It gives you a number of things. And then if it's not valid, it actually comes back and tells you this is not a valid code. And check and then send the correct one. If it has been scratched by someone else and someone else sent the code, it'll tell you this. This number was actually valid, but someone actually used it, which means if you copy paste the sticker, someone and it was already scratched, you cannot actually, so one of the people I'm interviewing for the MECS component is the people who came up with this. They're called Empedigree, and they do have a lot to say about stickers and quality marks. And one of the things that we wanted to actually do is present these results to them and see what the conclusions that give it to us. So the problem with the KEBS quality mark is, I know we've tried this with John on water. If it's been used before, it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't come back. Maybe if there's an expiration date, like there's a lot of issues around the KEBS quality mark, both I'd say in terms of the management of the quality mark itself, but also in terms of the trust that people have in the quality mark. So because we were talking to some people and some people actually knew about the KEBS quality mark, now going back to Elise, and studied, I did with her, some people actually know quality marks, but still they do not think a lot of them were saying it's one thing they look at. And yeah, that was just an interesting to actually look at, to see. Did the outlet have a license? If so, did they issue an ETR? As many counterfeits will not be in a system. Well, people, and this is the thing I would like to point out. There is a difference between how we make purchases and how communities make purchases. You're not going to tell someone you're not going to tell my grandmother to go and ask for an ETR receipt. So we were buying stuff and we were having conversations with the places people actually buy stuff. So that's market days, that's the vendors, because that vendor right there has a license from the county government to operate. So that means that they have a permit to actually sell, whether or not they're selling good quality stuff, they have a permit. And when we talked to the county government itself, because we did get a chance to actually have a conversation with the county government, one of the things they told us is we don't know how to actually differentiate between the people to give a license or not in terms of electrical systems. Actually, what you guys are proposing is something we've never heard of, which is that we should stratify people into who's selling good quality stuff and who isn't. And you could tell that there was some pushback on using the KEBS quality map to be able to do that. Yeah, and there's reasons why that's actually on the table here, because I think my work in standards and quality, what I've learned over time is that, like you said, there's a lot of loopholes at the port. Also hoping to discuss with some people at the port on why, but there's a group, Vox did a very good summary of this problem and why it is such a big problem, not just for Kenya, but also for online marketplaces. I think I've covered a bit of that in the blog post. So the problem is that there is so many shipments coming in, even if people were to not receive drives, it is very hard to actually track everything down, right? So there is, of course, the one group of people where you can buy and they'll give you an ETR receipt, but the people I've seen who are interested in ETR receipts are companies and people who have to file taxes. So why would my grandmother, whose filing of taxes is, ask for an ETR receipt? So incentives. At the end of the day, if you create a system based on thought processes of civil servants, and I'd say those of us, like the experts like me, who sit in Nairobi, we are the ones who will tell people, okay, go get an ETR receipt. But the truth is, what incentive do they have to ask for one? Yeah. So there's an incentives issue, and there's always supposed to, and this is why for us, it seemed more interesting to have a communally, because there seemed to be an ecosystem, an electrical ecosystem in each community. Tapping into that community is much more effective than instructions from some people sitting in Nairobi, which to them is, quite tough. And one of the things that, because I do come from Kitale, and talking to some of my relatives, they were like, you guys set rules, you set your own things, you're telling me this is tested, but there's no way for me to, those are Nairobi things. And they like saying, vitu za watu wa Nairobi, that translates to, things that people in Nairobi put in place. So there is also that pushback that we don't feel like what you're setting actually fits us. And in this case, I do think that the ETR receipts is a very good example of one of those situations. So what am I doing for next? So the study aim, map the electrotechnical quality ecosystem, so specifically for household electrical appliances in Kenya. Identify quality setbacks that MECS may encounter during the program's duration, and then propose solutions that MECS can implement to respond to external and internal electrotechnical quality setbacks to minimize their occurrence or avoid them altogether. So I think we had only external, and then I think John here can remember there was a small somewhere, and we added the internal component to this. So the study format, there was literature review, then there's household data collection, then there's stakeholder interviews, validation workshop, and then recommendations. So how far are we? So literature review is done. Of course, it was done quite a while ago. Household data collection is done in 290 households, specifically for the quality component. We do have more data from around 500 households on different things, like on what appliances they own and stuff like that, because we were doing a wider study under a different program under MECS. Then there is stakeholders interviews. This is scheduled for September. It was supposed to be done in August, but government is being audited, and a lot of people that we were supposed to interview are government people, so had to be moved. Then there's validation workshop scheduled for November, and then there is recommendations. So for stakeholders, the people being interviewed are TVET, right? So there's TVET, there's governments like Kenya, SCEBS. I'm hoping we can get some people from PVOC at KEBS, who are the ones who interact with people at ports, just have conversations with some people at ports. And also, I managed to actually get interviews with some people at Nyamakema. They're very hard to convince, but one of my colleagues does have some contact there. So we do want to ask them a couple of questions about how they actually get products into the country. So Nyamakema, River Road, the importers of electrical products into the country. So that's something that we want to, and also manufacturers. So the manufacturers of what I'd say the good quality products, who are the people who are working with MECS most of the time. So we want to find out from the Nyamakema people whether they get things from the same manufacturers or if they have their own channels. So we're just trying to see what this looks like from the traders' perspective, because we have quite a bit of household information, not analyzed, none of it is analyzed. And then there is what we're looking at. So information asymmetry, we do want to say if there is a difference between the people selling and buying. We will interview a few, I think, sellers, not that many, but most of the ones that we'll interview, of course, are the Nyamakema guys and a few others. Then there is, and of course, we do anticipate that there's a bit of that because electrical products are a bit like that. And there's income and willingness to pay. We do have data on this from the households, and then product usability and usage. This is something that we'll assess at the end of the study, which is there's another ongoing study that will, I think, add some questionnaires in November. And then repair infrastructure and workforce. This is where we're thinking TVETs really do come in. And then planned obsolescence. This is a conversation I think we'll have with manufacturers of the products and whether they think there's a likelihood of ever having repair-centric products for Africa, given that, like Kenya specifically, just to be honest, from the work that we've done with the list, seems to be a repair-centric country. So I'll stop there.
Okay,
Great. Thank you, Anne.
Anne. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Sorry, but you go for it.
No, I'm done. I was just telling Anne she has done a good job. So you take over then, John.
Sure, yeah, so we've probably got about 7 minutes left for Q&A now. I've seen a few questions have gone into the chat, but I think, Anne, you've already picked up on most of them. And one has just arrived from Simon here, so maybe we can kick off with that one. So Simon's making a comment that this was very interesting, the direction of research is very useful, and that he'll look forward to the reports and blogs. So not really a question or anything to continue debating, but just a seal of quality from the MECS research coordinator himself. So well done.
Thank you.
I wanted to invite Paul, who had posted most of the comments, who are in the chat, to just perhaps unmute and maybe give a commentary on some of the things that ACT is doing as our country partner in Kenya, and how that kind of dovetails with the research that you're doing and some of the key findings that are coming out of this already. Paul, are you able to unmute and join the discussion?
Sure, John. Thanks, Anne. That was
Hi.
Presentation. How are you?
I'm fine. It's good to see you here.
Thank you very much. Having gone through your presentation, I've noticed quite a lot that has created gaps in having substandard or unqualified goods in the market. But some of these goods get their way through the back door. So you find a lot of people in River Road who are selling them don't have licenses to bring them in, so they look for alternative ways of bringing illegal things. Some of them are actually on their way to the DRC or Burundi, which don't have strict measures of controlling substandard goods, but they are offloaded in the market. I used to be in clearing and forwarding, so I was aware of that.
Oh wow! Should give me some contacts. I have a chat with some people. Like I would really like those are the people I want to have a conversation with, just to hear what they have to say.
I'll definitely reach out on that one.
Okay, sure.
Yes. At ACTS, we are partners with MECS, doing the MECS project in Kenya, and realized the gap of solar panels. We have TVET institutions like RIAT, Ramogi Institute of Applied Technology, who we are partnered with. That's in Kisumu area, who already built these solar panels to the specific Kenyan market. So the chances that that will be substandard is very minimal. They can also be used on doing after-sale services, which I know is lacking in Western Province. What used to be the Western Province, of course, I come from that area. So you find a lot of people who have solar equipment, after they get spoiled, they tend to dump them or leave them on the roofs. So they become, how do I call it? Accumulated waste on your roof. You have like 7, 8 panels, but you find only 2 are working. So I don't know if you've actually witnessed that in Trans Nzoia, because you said you come from Kitale.
So yeah. So I actually come from a place called Sibanga. It's not even Kitale. Kitale is more city-like. So yeah. So the work I'm doing with Elise, we are working on a report. So it should be ready by end of next month if we actually push it, because I wanted this to be ready before the MECS. I have to do like the final compilation of the MECS report, which has delayed because of different issues. So yeah, it's time when you will see that the timelines are changing every now and then. Sorry for that, because of different factors, especially COVID-19 situation and funding situation. Funding with regards to there's some funders who work for financing with the data collection. So in terms of the issues, the actual technical issues within the space, I think that's what I've spent so much of my time actually looking at, until I got to a point where I realized there's more to this, and that's where Elise actually joined in. And we do plan to have a list of, in future, common faults of electrical products, right? And one of them is and when you're talking about electrical products, like I said, you can talk about solar PV systems, you can talk about the plug and play, you can talk about the component-based systems, and both of them, the ecosystems operate very differently. So even the products themselves kind of behave very differently. So the plug and play systems are very similar to the appliance market. Yeah. So if you're looking at, for example, teaching people how to do after-sale services for plug and play systems, that might make sense to go hand in hand with other electrical products like electrical appliances, electrical cookers, because they have similarities, so to say, even in terms of how the repairability of the products themselves, the use of permanent glue to make sure the lack of parts for repair. Those are things they share with electrical appliances. So in terms of the component-based systems, which I think is what you're referencing, yes, there's a big problem in that space, and there's also like a bunch of things that I can do maybe a summary for these are the common faults that I have had as I'm doing this study. So I hope that answers you. I'm definitely willing to have a conversation with you on the side about this.
I'm looking forward to that, Anne.
Okay.
But just a question: electrical products and solar PV systems. With the MECS project we are actually undertaking, what I wanted to ask: have you reached a point where you've actually realized that the solar PV systems can be integrated to the MECS project, where the modern energy cooking services, and in specific, the pressure cooker, the electrical pressure cooker, can actually be used using the solar PV systems.
Oh yeah. So
certain, sorry. So in certain areas in the counties you've mentioned, you'll find there is no electricity, or the normal grid is not there all the way. They were under the last mile, which is not finalized. So we have quite a number of households which are missing electricity, but they have got access to solar PV systems.
Okay, so what I'll say is I'll summarize it as this. I have a separate project looking at that. And that's a project. So there's a specific project where we're looking at DC cooking and what DC cooking can look like. That means that skip over the inverter systems. And I remember there was a time when Simon posted something. I saw a small DC electric pressure cookers. So DC electric pressure cookers have the issues that they have. And I think John or Matthew, I don't know who between them has done there's a paper, I think, on the MECS website on DC pressure cookers and some of the issues that come with them. So yes, there is, I don't know what's being done right now fully in terms of DC systems that are powered by like DC cookers in general, not just pressure cookers. But I think there's quite a bit of work happening. I am doing one such project in terms of solar PV powering the current EPCs as they are. I think those are calculations that we'll probably do with the team just for that specific paper, just for that specific project, because we have to show why are we trying to see what DC can look like when there's AC. Is there a possibility? But I think there's a company that had actually tried to power AC pressure cookers with a battery system, and I think the battery system ended up being a bit big, if I'm not wrong. Oh yeah, so John has posted the blog post on the 24-volt DC electric pressure cooker. I think it was a very good analysis by the LAFPRO team on what are the issues, and we've used that to actually see what other direction can we take with this.
So, Anne, that one is actually a different one to the one I think you're referring to. The one I think you're referring to is on the BES or Tesco Power DC electric pressure cooker. It was published either a year and a half ago. And that was the one that you'd mentioned earlier in the presentation that was not very good quality. This one is a new model, which Simon has tested, and actually seems to be of comparable quality to most of the AC EPCs that we see in the market. So we are just about to start a new pilot project in Nakuru County in Kenya, as well as in Uganda and Tanzania, to test on off-grid systems, solar-powered off-grid systems, this new model of DC electric pressure cooker. So we hope that it is as good as it seems from the initial testing that we've done, and in the field, it is able to perform in a comparable way to the AC counterparts.
Okay. Yep. I'm also looking forward, because part of my work, I said, is low voltage DC systems, and there's a lot to be done on appliances in that space, and especially for electric cooking, which seems to be a huge interest right now. So looking forward to actually hearing about how that is going. Yeah. So I will stop presenting.
So I'm just conscious of time, and we do have to close up the session now, I'm afraid. But I think the purpose of this session was very much for us to share what Anne has been up to so far, what she's doing with MECS, and it is an ongoing project. So Paul, I'm sure you'll be in touch with Anne. Anyone else who is here now or listening to the recording, please do reach out to Anne and share your other insights and other crossovers with the work that you're doing with her, so that we can work together, collaborate, and move forward together. So I do have another announcement to make just before we leave. The reason why there was a bit of clash when Anne had finished up today, when Bridget started the session, I finished the session. It's because this is Bridget's last field methods session for 2021. So Bridget is actually abandoning us for a few months. She's going away on maternity leave. So I'd like to offer a huge congratulations to Bridget, and I hope you'll join me. I'd like to say a big thank you for all of the hard work that she's put in building the community that we have here in the Field Methods seminars. And we look forward to seeing her back as part of the team once she and her new family are ready. So thank you, Bridget.
Thank you, John.
In response to that, then I'm afraid we have taken a decision that we would not like me to be the sole presenter of the Field Methods Seminar Series. So you'll be pleased to know that you won't have to put up with my ugly face for every session going forward. We've actually come up with a new approach. So the new approach is we would like these to be much more democratic. We would like to open up the position of hosting the Field Methods seminars to other people within the program. So we had a very successful session a few months ago with the Gender Inclusivity and Leave No One Behind workstream, where other members of the program hosted a presenter. So we'd really like to do the same going forward. So the way that we see this working is that we would like to have a meeting every month with people that are interested in hosting a session, or people that would like to put forward an idea for a session that maybe know an interesting topic. They don't necessarily know who could present, but there's a gap, an area where they would like to learn about, or they know that other people in the program would like to learn about. So we'd like to invite anybody who would like to join that committee to meet with us once a month, or when you are available. And then we can plan together which sessions we will do in the upcoming months. And we can, I guess, hand over responsibility for those particular sessions to people who may have an interesting set of insights to share. So an example of this could be, for example, a link researcher who sees a really interesting project going on in the country that they're working in. I would really like to host a session where someone from that particular project is going to present what has been happening. So I guess similar to this session, in that we have Anne, who's doing really interesting work in Kenya, and the link researcher for Kenya. We would like to have the same kind of model working for other countries as well. Not just link researchers, of course, anyone who would like to share something with the rest of the program, whether it's them sharing directly or introducing someone else they know who has something interesting to share, or would like to have an open debate, then we welcome all these kind of ideas. So in response to this session, I will send out a follow-up email, since Bridget is sadly no longer here anymore to do that. I will send out a doodle poll to find out when people might be available and who might be interested in joining that. And we can pick a date and a time for the first meeting. So thank you once again to Bridget for everything you've done in helping to build the Field Methods seminars. And thank you to everyone else who is still here with us today. I appreciate we've run a bit over time, but thank you for persevering. And I hope that some of you will join in this ongoing dialogue to be able to share more insights from across the program. And I hope you will tell others as well about this opportunity. We will be circulating it to the whole mailing list, so we hope to see some of you at that opening meeting. And even if not, then we hope to see you at the next Field Methods seminar itself. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.